He sits there, doesn't he? Every day. Same desk. Same lukewarm coffee that probably tastes like regret by now. He's surrounded by screens, each one flashing a different flavor of anxiety, a different shade of demand. He's supposed to be a master of his domain, a titan of industry, but honestly, he feels more like a cog in a machine he doesn't quite understand. The emails pile up, each one a tiny paper cut to his already frayed nerves. The meetings drone on, filled with buzzwords and empty promises. And the pressure? The pressure is a constant hum, a low-level thrum that vibrates through his bones, reminding him that failure is not an option. At least, that's what he tells himself. He sees it in the mirror every morning, the tightening around his eyes, the subtle slump in his shoulders. He feels it in the way his stomach clenches before a presentation, the way his jaw aches at the end of a long day. He knows he's not alone. He sees it in the faces of his colleagues, his friends, even his family. Everyone is running, chasing, striving. But for what? He tries the usual things, of course. The meditation apps, the mindfulness podcasts, the weekend getaways that only manage to add another layer of stress to his already overflowing plate. He reads the self-help books, the ones promising instant enlightenment and effortless success. But they all seem to offer the same empty platitudes, the same superficial solutions that never quite scratch the surface. He wants more. He needs more. He needs something that cuts through the noise, something that offers a real, tangible path to inner peace, to genuine strength. He's tired of feeling like a victim of circumstance, a puppet on a string. He wants to be the master of his own fate, the captain of his own soul. But how? How does he navigate this chaotic world without losing himself in the process? How does he find a sense of purpose and meaning in a world that often seems devoid of both? How does he build resilience in the face of constant adversity? These are the questions that keep him up at night, the questions that drive him to search for something deeper, something more profound. He's looking for a way to not just survive, but to thrive. He's looking for a way to find strength not in external validation, but in internal fortitude. He's looking for a way to cultivate a sense of calm amidst the storm, a sense of purpose amidst the chaos. He's looking for something real, something lasting, something different. And the answer, surprisingly, might be older than he thinks. Much older. So, he stumbles upon it, almost by accident. A dusty book, tucked away in a forgotten corner of a used bookstore. The title, embossed in faded gold lettering, catches his eye. Meditations. He recognizes the name, Marcus Aurelius, but vaguely. A Roman emperor? What could a man who lived nearly 2 millennia ago possibly have to say to him? A man struggling to keep his head above water in the 21st century. Curiosity piqued, he buys the book. He starts to read. And slowly, painstakingly, something begins to shift. The words are simple, yet profound. Aurelius speaks of virtue, of reason, of accepting what he cannot control and focusing instead on what he can. His thoughts, his actions, his judgments. He talks about the importance of living in accordance with nature, of embracing impermanence, of finding joy in the present moment. Initially, it seems almost too simplistic. He's used to complex strategies, intricate plans, elaborate systems. But as he delves deeper, he realizes that the simplicity is the point. Stoicism, he discovers, isn't about mastering the world around him. It's about mastering himself. It's about building an inner fortress, a sanctuary of calm that can withstand the storms of life. He learns about Epictetus, the former slave who taught that it's not what happens to us, but how we react to it that truly matters. He reads Seneca, the playwright and advisor to Nero, who wrote eloquently about the importance of living a virtuous life, even in the face of adversity. These men, despite their vastly different backgrounds and circumstances, shared a common thread, a commitment to living a life of purpose, meaning, and inner peace. He starts to apply these principles to his own life. He begins to observe his thoughts and emotions, to notice the patterns that lead to anxiety and stress. He challenges his assumptions, questions his beliefs, and strives to align his actions with his values. Now, consider how this applies when a colleague makes a snide remark during a meeting. His initial reaction is still anger, a visceral urge to retaliate. But instead of lashing out, he pauses. He takes a deep breath. He reminds himself that his colleague's behavior is a reflection of their own internal state, not a judgment of his worth. He chooses to respond with calm and reason, disarming the situation and maintaining his own composure. Building on this, however, he realizes acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It's not about rolling over and letting others walk all over him. It's about recognizing the reality of the situation, accepting what he cannot change, and then taking appropriate action within his sphere of influence. If a project is poorly managed, he doesn't simply complain. He offers constructive solutions. If a relationship is strained, he doesn't avoid the issue. He initiates an honest conversation. Consequently, he discovers that true strength isn't about dominating others. It's about dominating himself. It's about controlling his impulses, managing his emotions, and choosing to act in accordance with his values, regardless of the circumstances. It's about becoming the person he wants to be, the person he knows he is capable of being. Reflecting on this journey so far, he begins to perceive something profound emerging from the interplay of ancient wisdom and modern challenge. It's not merely about adopting a set of rules or adhering to a rigid philosophical system. Instead, it's more akin to cultivating a resilient inner landscape, a space where he can weather the inevitable storms of life without being swept away by them. The echoes of Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus resonate not as historical relics, but as practical tools for navigating the complexities of his present reality. He sees now that the initial quest for control was, in a sense, a mirage. The true power lies not in bending the external world to his will, but in shaping his internal response to it. It's the difference between being a leaf tossed about by the wind and being a tree, deeply rooted and able to withstand the gale. This isn't a passive resignation, but an active engagement with reality, a conscious choice to meet each moment with clarity and composure. The boardroom battles, the social anxieties, the personal disappointments, they all begin to take on a different hue. He no longer sees them as threats to be avoided, but as opportunities for growth, as tests of his inner fortitude. Each challenge becomes a chance to practice the principles he's been learning, to refine his ability to remain centered and grounded amidst the chaos. Consider the cumulative effect of these small, daily choices. It's akin to a sculptor meticulously chipping away at a block of stone, gradually revealing the masterpiece within. Each act of self-control, each moment of acceptance, each conscious choice to align his actions with his values, they all contribute to the creation of a more resilient, more authentic self. He's not striving for perfection, but for progress, for a continuous refinement of his character. Drawing these strands together, we see that the path forward becomes clearer. It's a path of self-discovery, of continuous learning, and of unwavering commitment to living a life of purpose and meaning. It's a path that requires courage, discipline, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. But it's also a path that leads to a profound sense of inner peace, a sense of freedom from the tyranny of external circumstances. He's not quite there yet, of course. The journey is ongoing, a lifelong pursuit. But he's moving in the right direction, guided by the wisdom of the ancients and fueled by his own unwavering determination. The fog is lifting, and the summit, though still distant, is now visible on the horizon. So, what remains then, after the reading, the reflecting, the striving? It isn't a destination reached, a final exam passed with flying colors. It's the quiet understanding that the work itself is the life. The disciplined breath before the storm, the considered response in the face of insult, the unwavering commitment to living a life of virtue. These aren't mere techniques to be deployed when convenient. They are the very fabric of a life well lived, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. He realizes now the allure of control was a false promise, a gilded cage. True freedom isn't found in bending the world to his will, but in mastering his own. It's in recognizing that the only true dominion he possesses is over his own thoughts and actions, and in wielding that dominion with wisdom and grace. The emails will still arrive, the meetings will still drone on, the pressures will still mount. But he will meet them with a different heart, a different mind. He understands that Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, but about understanding them. It's about acknowledging the feelings that arise within him, the anger, the fear, the frustration, without allowing them to dictate his actions. He can feel the heat of anger rise, acknowledge its presence, and then choose to respond with reason and compassion. He can feel the sting of fear, recognize its source, and then choose to act with courage and conviction. And perhaps most importantly, he understands that this is a lifelong practice, a journey without end. There will be setbacks, moments of weakness, times when he falters and falls. But these moments aren't failures. They are opportunities to learn, to grow, to refine his understanding of himself and the world around him. Each stumble is a chance to rise again, stronger and wiser than before. The wisdom of the Stoics isn't a magic formula, a quick fix for the anxieties of modern life. It's a framework for living, a guide for navigating the complexities of human existence. It's a reminder that true strength isn't found in external validation, but in internal fortitude. It's an invitation to live a life of purpose, meaning, and inner peace, regardless of the circumstances. The sun rises again. The day begins anew. The world calls him back to its relentless rhythm. But now, he faces it with a different perspective, a different understanding. He carries within him the quiet strength of those who have walked this path before, the wisdom of the ages echoing in his heart. The true practice begins now, not in the abstract realm of philosophy, but in the messy, unpredictable reality of everyday life. And in that moment, he understands that the real journey has just begun.